The Arizona wind cut like a knife that winter day in 1889. At a lonely desert station, a widowed rancher stood with his shivering twins, waiting for the mail-order bride who was supposed to save their family. But when the train thundered past without stopping, his heart sank. She wasn't coming. Then, as the steam began to clear, another woman stepped off the next car, a stranger with nowhere to go. Gathering what courage he had left, he said softly, "Ma'am, will you be my twins' mother?" Watch till the end, partner, to uncover what the stranger bride answered, and why this desperate father sought a mother for his children. Tell us where you're watching from, and join our Sleep West family. Now, let's ride into the story.
The wind on the small, lonely Arizona station platform was a relentless thief, stealing warmth and hope alike. It was the bitter edge of a December afternoon in 1889. Then, a man known only by the hardship in his eyes stood his ground, his old sheepskin coat offering scant defense against the dry, needle-sharp cold. His gaze was locked on the desolate horizon where the railroad tracks shimmered, a mirage promising salvation. At his feet, huddled beneath a faded army green blanket, were his children, Lily, 5, quiet as a field mouse, and Dave, 7, trying desperately to look like the man of the house. They shivered, the chill deeper than mere weather. It was the cold of an empty home. "Hey," Dave whispered, the sound barely audible over the wind's moan. "It's near dark." The other train didn't stop. Ben checked the worn timepiece. "That was the slow run, son. The evening express will be along soon. The lady from the agency. She'll be on it. She's got good sense, she'll know what waits for her." He had poured his last dollar into securing the wire, the ticket, the assurance of a mail-order bride, a practical arrangement for a rancher widowed by fever, whose children were wasting away from loneliness more than want of food. The sun finally surrendered, plunging the depot into a cold indigo twilight. The express roared past, a violent, uncaring beast of black iron and steam, carrying its precious cargo of travelers far away from this desolate siding. It did not stop. Ben watched the smoke dissolve, and with it, the last tether of his planned future. He couldn't face the 10-mile journey back to the ranch in the darkness with two near-frozen children. "Tonight, we ride out the storm," Ben told them, his voice low and rough. He led them to the dusty, vacant station master's shack. They slept pressed together, the meager fire burning through their remaining wood supply, the rhythm of his children's shallow breathing the only comfort against the vast, uncaring desert night. The desperate pre-dawn broke cold and unforgiving. Ben rose, resolute to start the long walk, when a sound cracked the silence that defied the usual schedule, the shriek of mainline brakes. A passenger car hissed to a stop. From the steps descended a woman. She was tall, dressed in sturdy, dark wool, her demeanor one of sharp, intelligent control. She was clearly not the placid woman he'd corresponded with. She looked around, her composure fracturing slightly when she saw no escort waiting. A sudden savage grit, born from utter despair, fueled Ben. He moved toward her, his voice raw and loud. "Ma'am, hold, I beg you, wait." Eliza Vance turned, startled by the man's wild-eyed intensity. "Ma'am," Ben pleaded, forcing the words past a throat tight with shame and need. "I ask your pardon, but necessity tears down all manners. My children are alone. Their mother is gone. They need a mother's hand to live, or they'll surely die out here. Please, I implore you, come with us." The two station hands stopped their sweeping, whispering coarsely. "Mr. Miller," snapped the station agent from the doorway. "Control yourself. You shame this line." Ben only saw the children behind him, Lily and Dave, watching the strange woman with mournful, wide eyes. He couldn't articulate the terror of watching them fade. Eliza saw the desperation beneath the raw words. She saw the children. They were the undeniable truth. Her own engagement, her future with the wealthy rancher Silas Thorne, suddenly felt like a hollow, selfish arrangement. She took a breath that frosted the air. "Sir, I am Eliza Vance. I am bound for Tucson. I have an arrangement. I know what you are owed, Ben pressed, taking a step nearer. But I offer you a debt of life. 3 days. Just 3 days to warm them, to nurse them back from the cold of the grave. I swear I'll pay your passage onward. Eliza looked at the children again. They were small enough to break. I will come, she whispered, the words heavy with reluctant finality. But I must leave on the 3rd day. I have given my word to another man. God bless you, Ben choked out, the gratitude threatening to buckle his legs. You have saved them, the found family. The wagon ride back was silent, save for the rhythmic crunch of the wheels. Eliza settled between Lily and Dave, wrapping them tightly against the wind. Where is your mother now? She asked Dave softly. She's with the stars, ma'am, Dave mumbled. Pa says she watches us and tells us to be good. Eliza offered a thin smile. And does she tell you to freeze? No, sir. She tells you to drink your milk and keep your boots dry. Your pa is good, but he forgot how to be a mother. When they reached the cabin, small, rough, but sturdy, Eliza moved with an immediate focused energy that banished the stagnant dread. She built a roaring fire, driving the desert chill from the corners of the room. The 3 days were a flurry of quiet, vital activity. She scoured the neglected pots and made a thick, warming stew from dried beans Ben had missed, seasoning it with wild sage. She worked the needle with practiced skill, mending Dave's trousers with a sturdy backstitch, teaching him to be more careful with his wear. She sat by the firelight weaving a crude doll for Lily from twine and scraps, her fingers quick and deft. When Ben spoke of how the land needed tending, she offered practical advice on water conservation and the proper use of clay for chinking the rough-hewn walls. At night she sang lullabies, sweet, clear melodies that sounded like something soft and safe, wiping away the memory of their mother's last feverish sighs. Ben watched her, a dangerous, tender hope warring with the reality of his situation. He was falling for the woman he'd bought to be a caretaker. The threat and the revelation. The morning of departure arrived heavy with unspoken sorrow. Lily clung to Eliza's skirt, a silent, weeping anchor. I will be back, Eliza promised the child, her own eyes burning. She turned to Ben, her composure strained. Ben, I must tell you, the man I'm pledged to is Silas Thorne. He owns the largest spread near the Dragoon foothills. He is powerful, and he is not a man who accepts being crossed. Ben's jaw tightened, his face hardening into the expression of a man bracing for a blow. You leave us for his fortune? I leave you because if I don't, Silas will send men to investigate my disappearance, and they will find you. A poor man, alone. He won't just take your land, Ben. He will crush you for disrespect. I cannot risk your lives. You are all my little ones have left. Ben felt a cold certainty wash over him, a memory he had suppressed for years. Silas Thorne, he repeated, the name sounding like gravel in his mouth. I'll ride to him, Ben insisted, the old soldier's grit rising. I'll meet his guns. I'll see him off. No. Eliza gripped his arm. You don't understand the reach of a man like that. I won't bring that fire down on you. She pressed a crude map into his hand. He's out there. I pray you never need this. With a final wrenching glance at the children, she mounted the buggy and left, the wheels cutting through the frozen dust. The Thorne Crossroads. Eliza endured the ride to Silas Thorne's imposing, overly grand ranch. Silas, broad and unforgiving, met her with contempt. You're late, girl. A costly delay. But fear not. I've married my neighbor's widow for land rights. However, he smirked, I have a brother, Pat, a rancher, a widower just like me. He's due back from the cattle range today. You will meet him, and you will honor your commitment to the family. Eliza felt a wave of nausea. She knew the man she saw was Silas. She refused. She tried to leave, but Silas blocked her path, citing the 3-day storm delay. She was trapped by his power until his brother arrived. On the 4th morning, Eliza determined to flee regardless of the storm's lingering threat. She took the reins of her buggy, ready to ride until she found the tracks leading back north, back to Ben and the children. She had gone perhaps 50 yards down the dirt track when she saw them, a single battered buckboard kicking up a cloud of dust, the familiar steady shape of her children riding beside their father. Eliza froze. She leapt from her seat and ran to Lily and Dave, holding them so tight she thought she might break them. Silas Thorne thundered out of his yard, enraged. "What is this intrusion? I told you, my brother Pat is due. This vagrant." The man riding beside Ben stopped his horse and dismounted. He was built like Silas, powerful, but his face was leaner, his eyes possessing a familiar, deep-set sadness that Eliza now recognized from Ben's own expression. "Brother," the newcomer said, his voice calm, cutting through Silas's fury. "You were expecting Pat? Well, you found him." Silas reeled back. "Pat, you ran off years ago. What business have you here meddling with what's mine?" Ben, now revealed as Pat, stepped forward, his stance unwavering, drawing Eliza protectively behind him. He looked at Silas with cold resolution. "I didn't come for your property, Silas. I came back to the territory when I realized I couldn't escape the life I ran from. I took a simpler name, lived honestly, and built a small life. Then," Pat gestured to Eliza and the children, "fate brought me the only thing that ever mattered." He turned to Eliza, his eyes burning with a devotion that eclipsed all previous lies. "When you spoke of the threat, Eliza, I understood immediately. Silas Thorne's ruthlessness is legendary. I knew I couldn't ask you to stay out of fear of him. I had to wait for you to choose honesty over obligation." Eliza looked from the cruel Silas to the true man beside her, her beloved. "You ran from him, Pat? You were hiding here all along?" "I was building a life where Silas couldn't touch me," Pat confirmed, pulling her firmly against his side. "And you, Eliza, you showed my children a mother's warmth. You are my life now. Silas, you may have the gold, but you don't have this woman, and you certainly don't have my children's respect." Silas, faced with the return of his long-lost brother, now openly claiming the woman Silas had sought to claim through deceit, backed away, his pride too wounded for open confrontation. Pat gently guided Eliza and the weeping children back to their wagon. They did not look back at the sprawling empty ranch. They rode toward their small, honest cabin, a home now made whole by a desperate choice, a brief act of charity, and the stunning irony that the protector they needed was the brother of the man who sought to threaten them. Ben, no Pat, and Eliza married that week, their union sealed not by an agency fee, but by the fierce loyalty they discovered under the sharp, unforgiving Arizona sun.